Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of Friday Waters, an initiative of the W4W Foundation, a think tank built as Citizens Collective, we welcome you to today's session. Friday Waters is a continuation of signature series Wednesdays for Water. At Friday Waters, we have initiated activities such as Friday Water Talkies, Friday Water Reading Club, Friday Water Thesis Club, Friday Water Arts, and Friday Waters Meet a Maestro. Each of these sessions takes place once a month or something like that, depending on availability of our speakers. The idea of Friday Waters is to bring water knowledge available in various alternate forms at one place to highlight the opportunities and challenges related to water. The idea is also to increase the outreach of the alternate water practices in the water networks as well as in the society at large. The Friday Water sessions are designed to be fun-filled and yet fruitful to learn about the water matters in a different format or different ways our presenters are usually working on. The focus of Friday Water's arts is on bringing the artists who have done or are doing art, music, or related activities on water matters in the session in order to discuss with them the making of their work, the issues around the subject they have covered. Besides bringing interest in water conversation, this will also increase the outreach of the artwork as well as the artist in this format. Not only in water networks, but also society at large. My name is Mansee Bhargava, and I'm the host from W4W and Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the Water Resource Council. Today's water art session is a continuation on Goa water stories, as we did it on May 9th. And today we have Rehan Diaz, Shane Lobo, and Rachel Fernandez to talk about their story of Goa, how they looked at it, and how they really documented and what were the learning they have taken for their lives. As we discussed in the introduction session, I would highly recommend all of you to visit the Goa Water Stories and please browse the stories. Although the website is just a story that you see, but behind that there has been a diligent work, a dedicated work done by the researchers. We are going to have this as a series, and in that series today is the second session, and Goa Water Stories is hosted by Living Waters Museum, who is also our host today as a co-host of the session. And the Living Waters Museum aims to visualize narratives on water heritage, connect with local communities, and address water challenges through various initiatives like water classrooms, eco-entrepreneurship, empowering youth, looking at alternate ways in which water can be looked at. The Goa Water Stories is just another great work which Living Waters Museum has taken up. It was launched in March 2025. Goa Water Stories engages and interacts with the local and indigenous communities living in Goa. Here, the repositories of oral traditions and community knowledge have always been the elders of the community. This knowledge aggregated through lived experience is codified and passed along the generations through numerous modalities of transparency, communications, and rituals and folklores. And today, our guests are very young scholars, I will say enthusiasts, concerned citizens, and also the future of Goa. So, welcome all three of you, trio. I will start with inviting Rachel. And first of all, thank you, Rachel Fernandez, to agree to do this session. Rachel Fernandez is an architect from Goa, indeed. She graduated from Goa College of Architecture, where she developed a strong interest in sustainable design through her thesis on Wetland Research and Exploration Center, a project that explored the preservation of wetlands and their delicate ecosystems. She's pursuing her master's in architecture and sustainability at the University of Kent in England. Her work focuses on creating environmentally responsible and contextually aware architectural solutions that aim to protect both the natural and environmental cultural heritage. Thank you so much, Rachel. And the space is over to you. Please take on and just enlighten us with your wonderful story. And also, I would like to just request you, if you may please tell how did you do the documentation while you show us what exactly is the end product. Thank you so much, Rachel. Over to you.
Thank you, Mansi. Very good evening to all those who have joined. So starting off, is the screen visible?
Not
No.
yet. It's going to come now. Yes.
All right. So my research is on the Nanda Lake, which happens to be Goa's first Ramsar site, a story of ecology, culture, and just a minute, I think. So Nanda Lake is located in the village of Kakora, which happens to be in the Kepe Taluka of the south of Goa. It's spanning an approximately 42 hectares of land, renowned for its rich biodiversity, serves as a habitat for various flora and fauna, including the migratory birds that come on site. Beyond its environmental significance, the lake has a deep-rooted culture and economic ties with the local community that are living on the lake. Some of the physical features. So Nanda Lake is happens to be a freshwater wetland that is classified as an intermediate freshwater and marshy land connecting to the tributary of the Zuari River through a manually operated sluice gate. The unique feature allows controlled water flow, supporting both ecology function and the agricultural needs. Surrounded by human settlements, the lake is deeply integrated into the community life, being actively used for fishing, agriculture, and recreational activities as well. Talking about the biodiversity and the ecosystem services, Nanda Lake is a biodiverse wetland that supports migratory birds such as the common kingfisher, the Brahmahi kite, along with the rich plant and animal life that it holds. It plays a key role in water storage, rice cultivation, fishing, and flooding control as well. So, something unique about this specific lake in Goa is that it has been designated as the Ramsar site. So, basically, Ramsar is a convention of wetlands, which is a global treaty in Iran. And India has been a part of it from the 1982. And in India, we have around 42 Ramsar sites that are located into 16 different states. In Goa, Nanda Lake happens to be the first designated Ramsar site that was in 2022. Now, talking about the unique wetland ecosystem, the Nanda Lake is either permanently or seasonally flooded, creating a waterlogged or low oxygen conditions throughout. These conditions help to shape the ecology of the site. This makes Nanda Lake a distinguished from typical land or aquatic ecosystems around. So why this lake matters is because it holds ecological importance. Basically, it acts as a transition zone between the land and water. One of most biodiverse ecosystem, it supports a number of aquatic and semi-aquatic species on site. It helps in purification, water stabilization, reduces the shorelines and the risk of flooding. It also helps as a carbon sink, which helps in climate change and by absorbing the carbonic atmosphere. About ecological significance, it supports the complex food web, regulates the hydrological cycle. It's home to a diverse flora and fauna. So, what shaped Nanda Lake's ecosystem? With respect to hydrology, wetland hydrology involves the movement and stores of surface and groundwater. At Nanda Lake, water enters via rainfall, surface flow, groundwater, and exits through evaporation or the underground drainage. Nanda Lake acts as a natural reservoir that absorbs the excess rainwater and the slowly runoff. It also plays a key role in groundwater storage and replenishment. During high tide tables, it can also discharge water back into the environment, making it essential for local water management and resilience as well. These are the sluice gates that they have on site. It helps in maintaining the water levels into the Nanda Lake. With respect to water purification and impact on the specific diversity, the sediment control and water purification, drain and runoff carry the sediments and pollutants into the Nanda Lake. Wetland vegetation that traps these and protects the ecosystem. However, the excess nutrients from farming or sewage that comes through are treated before sending them into the Nanda Lake. While Nanda Lake is natural, it functions like a constructed wetland. In Goa, similar systems have been adopted in agriculture and fishing for the sustainability purpose as well. So at present, the Nanda Lake, which happens to be one of the Ramsar site in Goa, is facing a lot of risks with respect to land conservation, flood risk, overfishing activities that have been done by the community, which creating which creates a lot of impact onto how the lake is behaving at present. In conclusion, I would like to summarize by saying Nanda Lake is not just a wetland, it's a living system that connects nature and people around it. Its recognition as a Ramsar site is a milestone, but sustainable future efforts must prioritize the ecological and tradition of the site. Let us all work together to celebrate ecology and the cultural treasure of Goa. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and for giving those insights. What I'm going to do, I will let all the speakers make their presentations and then we can have conversation. So you just heard about the wetland, but in this show, we are also interested to hear about the researcher. How did they carry out? What was their experience? But I'll do that as a common
Right.
questions to all three of you together. Okay, let us move on and take our next presenter. And before I invite Rehan Diaz, I would like to just introduce him. Rehan Diaz is a writer and filmmaker with a background in advertising and sports journalism. He has applied his creative skills across various industries in Bangalore, working with notable organizations such as Sports Kida, J. Walter Thompson, Avakai Films, the Bangalore International Center, Citizen Matters, and the PARI, the People's Archive of Rural India, where he contributed to their communication, several different kinds of communication. Shooting will resume for his film on the ferries of Goa this monsoon. Welcome, Rehan, and we are keen to hear your story.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. Let me
Yes,
just
you are.
okay. Let me just share. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Please go ahead.
Okay. Um, See, what started off as just a Twitter journaling experience, I was just clicking photographs of whales across Goa while traveling through villages nearby my house, and it just evolved into this 24-minute story. I would request most of the people who are listening to or who will eventually watch on YouTube to just go through Goa water stories because it's a treasure trove of
Yes.
ground up stories. There are 18 well researched, very detailed things in these stories. So, and not just mine, but everybody else's, according to whatever catches your fancy. Just go and just surf. It is an experience in itself. And one of the reasons why it is really good is because it is multifaceted and it is multidisciplinary, as also there is a multimedia aspect to it. Like for instance, my project itself has videos and illustrations and photographs and drone footages and interviews. That is what it makes it a holistic article that sets it apart from other traditional media outlets. Okay, just beginning with Wales. See, at this point, I would say that it's not even nostalgia. Uh, Things were guaranteed pretty much better 25 years ago. It is a known fact, and you can trace the story through the evolution or the situations of Wales across Goa as well. Um, it this Okay, let us go through this one. I mean, I just wanted to show people what a normal plateau looks like. So at the top it will look really cool and amazing. Oh, there is surfing happening and there is Instagrammable places to be in. But if you look a little bit further, you will see that okay, our laterite mining is going on, our plateaus are being flattened, and what it gradually does is affect the water table and underground streams, and eventually it is affecting the water table and the daily life of Goans like us. Uh, how we'll come to know when you go through the stories in detail. But yeah, the groundwater and wells are intimately connected. So even though Goa, as you can see in some of the videos that are there in the article, that we are blessed with both surface water and groundwater, but this is a manufactured crisis that is coming because of over exploitation. This happens to be one of the first photos that I took, and you can see how the surface water and well water is filled to the brim. It is literally on surface. We are blessed with groundwater. It's just that there is a lot of mismanagement that is happening. That is what this article also tries to get into, as to how we can preserve this thing and how wells can actually help you predict the weather patterns, whether the village is doing well in terms of groundwater, and water, as we all know, is essential for village life. Okay, one of the things that is affecting Goa in general and has been covered in this article also is the rapid urbanization. So there's a massive influx of people that has come up in the past decade or so, and it has put a strain on the groundwater levels as well, which has given rise to water peddlers. I'm trying to see if we can see this video or not quickly, but it happens on the sly, and you pass through streets and you will see a lot of these things happening, and you will just pass by. But what is happening is water peddling. You won't see the well over here, but what is happening is he's putting the just gradually, slightly putting uh, the connection into the well. You will have 14,000 liters of water in this tank, and it will go and service a mall. We pass, see a lot of people are passing through it without knowing what is happening. But this is something that is happening throughout Goa, and this is happening also because tourism is a very, very water intensive industry, and water is not as much available in the coast as in the interior regions where the plateaus are, where uh, most of the Goans are living. It's not just the beaches are just a small part of Goa. There's much more to it. Like you would see that in Rachel's presentation, that there's lots of things that are happening inside. So the wetlands have to be protected, the plateaus have to be protected, uh, and all these things I'm hoping, and through the overall project, that more people are cognizant of the fact that what is happening in and around Goa, and it is not just the beaches, and that we have to protect the environment which we are blessed with, but we can't take it for granted. Like for instance, this particular video, this is a lush flowing stream that used to be there in Saligaon. This is the Salmona Spring, and this is not there anymore. In the summer months, it's just not there. So we can't let this to be a relic of the past. If And this is also happening because there's quarry cutting happening on the top, because we had to have SEZ coming up in Saligaon further up. It's called the Pillion Industrial Estate, and that has affected the water table in Saligaon. This, as I mentioned, are some of the water tankers which do the water peddling. Um, the changing consumption, I would say, has happened because now most of the people are not dependent on water and directly drawing water from government sources or from water tanks like this, which I would call as an inverted well. When we used to dig inside and get water, now it is we have pumped it up and we are using it. This is one of the things that I would like to show you, because we don't know how water is reaching the wells. This is just a stream just directly putting all of its water directly into the well, and we are drawing water from it. Also, we have to see that wells are the area in and around wells have also changed a lot significantly. Like for instance, this one has been clicked in Panjim, so you can see layers of development. There's an old well, and there's the house. The lady is using the water to draw uh, water and water her plants. But at the back is also a four-story apartment. So this is development. For some people, it's development, but it's just that wells should not be cut away from that. They are a significant indicator of how the water table is doing and how the villages are doing. Like for instance, one of the things that I came across while in the research was that wells, when you think of wells, it is not just a circular structure in the ground. There are different sizes, and the sheer variety in the sizes and uh, shapes of the wells, especially in Goa, is just mind-boggling. I'll try and get through some of the wells further down in this video. Let me just scroll down. Like for instance, this one is in Asagaon. That is a well, but it is also a restaurant. So they have used it and in terms of decor, but it is a way of preserving the thing. The restaurant uses water from the well. Then hold on, there is another one. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's a little stuck, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
website is heavy, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
So this is also available, but it has got 7 sides to it. And at night, there is a musical performance on top of it while you cover it up. And there are people who enjoy it. Those are the patrons over there. It's also a site in Saligaon. Um, then there are wells which are in various shape of disrepair. This has just been abandoned, and you can see a washing stone. This is a closed up well, again abandoned because people have moved abroad. This is a again abandoned well, and it needs upkeep. Otherwise, uh, it needs an annual upkeep. Otherwise, the wells do go bad pretty soon. They are a living entity as well. Um, uh, in terms of shapes of wells, I would say, see, this is a quarter circular well. Just it's not just circular; it's just a quarter circle, semicircle. Yeah, this one has been demolished because of another bungalow coming up because some Delhiite has bought the place. Again, different shapes and sizes. There are so many of them in Goa. 600 approximately. 6,000. I'm so sorry. And this one is a semicircular whale. Again, so whales are not just circular in nature or in construction. They are of different shapes and sizes. And this foliage is also indicative of the flora and fauna that it supports. And if you go through the article, I'm not going to go through all of this, but there is a huge probably a 2-minute video on the construction of wells, and it has sped up really quickly now because of the use of machines to make the well. Earlier it was just manpower and it took a lot of time, but this well, I have seen it happen, and it has been recorded and put on the website. It was completed in exactly 28 days, and it is quite a deep well. And this is a field well, it's an agriculture well. So it will be used to water the plants during the winter season when there is not plentiful of rainfall. These are all steps and days during the construction of the well that has been covered in this article. There are plenty of drone footages, and you will also see if you go through the article that why they chose this particular site. It is at the foot of the plateau, which makes it 100% guarantee almost that you will strike water within 4 to 5 meters of digging. The cultural significance of well, you have to be here to see, but most importantly, it's that we on 24th of June every year we have the Sanza over here, in which there is a tradition of jumping into the wells. This is one young guy who is jumping into the well. This is in a village called Alona. This is in Shioli, which is known for its boat festival during the Sanza. Again, deeply connected to wells in general. And this is the uh, well jumping ritual. I will close with this because this is something that not many people have seen. Okay. I'll just close by saying that it is not just sepia tinted nostalgia and romanticism that encourages the preservation and proliferation of whales. They form a network of water security and are a bellwether of local ecological patterns. This probably Shane will be able to explain even better in the next presentation, which is going to be on the criticality of Sukkur plateaus. But also, it is a resource that needs care and protection and not neglect and exploitation so that it remains a cornerstone of Goan life as we have known it. Thank you so much for listening.
Wow, thank you. You brought literally life. Huh? I was just feeling how I can jump into the well. And I'm sure people are feeling it as the way you showed how it should be felt. And I really like the line with when you said that you have to really be there to know it and realize it as well. Let's move on to thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Rehan, and we will come back to the common questions for all three of you. We'll reach now to Shane Lobo. First of all, thank you, Shane, for agreeing to do this presentation today. And before I invite him to make his presentation, I would like to introduce him. Shane Lobo is an aspiring lens-based artist who is passionate about experimenting with storytelling to evoke emotions. Love, adventure, chocolate, and exploring the great outdoors, whether it's hiking through misty forests to connect with nature or finding new perspectives. In every raindrop and human connection brings him joy. Embracing spontaneity, he eagerly looks forward to the next adventure, always seeking new experiences and connections. Thanks, Shane, and over to you. And as you saw, your colleagues had the choice of presenting through the PowerPoint or through the website. I leave it to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mansee. Um, Firstly, I'd like to start with saying thank you to Goa Water Stories and Living Waters Museum for having me on board with this project and taking this forward. So, I'm going to be presenting about a particular plateau that is close to my heart and that I've grown up living around and that I've noticed change over a period of years. And I thought I'd document it and showcase it in a way where people would relate to it and hopefully we get to do something about it at a ground level. So here's a map of Goa from 2024 January, which I've taken from Google Earth. Um, and if you can see this green area in the middle here, that large mass of green land is actually the Sukkur Plateau. Whereas in comparison, if you look around it, you can see a lot of deep scars into the earth, especially around the north over here. That's around the towards Bicholi and the other side of Ponda, etc. And as well as uh, coming to a closer look on the left bottom here, if you look at this whole area, this was also a plateau at once upon a time, which is now Porvory, and it has been rapidly urbanizing. And yeah, Porvory was a place where I grew up in, and it was a place that had a lot of green areas, a lot of wide landscapes that me and my friends would explore. But over a period of time, we started noticing that there was a lot of construction just happening, and we wouldn't have these same outdoor spaces to play at. And that's how I reached the Sukot Plateau. Sorry, sorry, my presentation got jammed. Uh, Going back. So yeah, so the Sukot Plateau is an expanse of greenery that lies between the bypass. On the other side, if you look at the hill over there, that is Giri. And these are all the fields of Socorro that extends all the way up till the highway. As you heard in Rehan's presentation, wells are really important. And as you can see, the amount of groundwater that already exists upon the surface here, because the fields are full of water, and that's what helps the agriculture grow in this area. The plateau sits at a height of 62 uh, meters approximately, of 62, I'm not sure of the exact number. It's approximately at 62 meters, and it's an expanse that spreads across to about 9 to 10 villages where it provides a watershed to all these villages, and all these villages rely on the plateau for their water needs. So this is a shot from the village of Sukoro, and in the background you can see the plateau that exists upon it. I'm not going to go in a lot of detail with my presentation because I would like for you all to explore this further through the website and get all the details and the understanding of the plateau. However, here are some photographs of the village of Socorro. It's a very quaint village. Um, it was earlier part of a very large village called Cerula, which is one of the largest comunidades in Goa. Cerula holds a large land holding in North Goa that makes up of about 4 villages, and which has now been broken down. And Socorro is the largest among them. So this is at the foot of the plateau where you have a lot of houses that exist and a lot of people live here abundantly because at the foot of the plateau is one of the most habitable areas and the most sustainable areas to live in, which supports life as water is found here in abundance. You get a large number of trees as well, and it's also a non-flooding zone as the wetlands are a little away from this area. So how I came to the Sukur Plateau was because of my passion of the outdoors, where me and my friends would go out and explore these spaces and look for wildlife, um, look to build and search for new places, whatever passion we had. So I love herping. So this is an image of two of my friends, Dylan and Aiden, who are also avid herpers and ornithologists and bird enthusiasts who love the Socorro Plateau as well. And every monsoon, we make it sure to make a trip up there and to hunt for certain species of reptiles, snakes, amphibians, and a plethora of birds that come during the season, uh, be it migratory, local. This is a picture of the Sukkur Plateau during the rains. As you can see, it's full of water, and plateaus, as Rehan mentioned in his presentation, plateaus, although they may look like just stone surfaces, which are just expanse of laterite and stone, they're actually treasure troves of water, and they are watersheds, water towers that hold water for the whole village. So here I'm going to break down visually on how that happens. So as you can see, uh, this large expanse of water is slowly caving in, and it's creating a kind of river or a small rivulet. The water flows down uh, through all the streams, the rivers. Locally in Konkani, we call streams as wows. So the wows fill up, and a lot of locals use these wows, and they have over a period of time kind of build systems around them. And we only see water as, a resource when we need to consume it, but when we don't need to consume it, it goes in and helps other spaces where we don't realize. Like the wells are all filled up because the groundwater is recharged. And because the groundwater is recharged, you get the wells are filled. And a lot of coastside wells, like for example, Sukoro, Saloy, Pomburpa, Olauli, these are all villages that are around the river Mandovi. And the river Mandovi is not completely a freshwater source because it mixes with the sea. So it is also a mix of salt water and saline. But because of the Socorro Plateau, which is such a large watershed of water, it actually helps restore the groundwater levels that exist. So to keep a barrier of water in the ground to push away the salt water from intruding into sources and helping providing a source for villages. So in the future, if at all uh, Sukur does become like a place like Porvorim, we would lose a lot of land with regards to not only our hills and our slopes, but also because the place won't be as habitable with regards to farming, uh, with regards to water, and we will have to rely on outside sources of water. So here is a very intricate structure that has been built by the village of Pombutpa. This is the Pombutpa spring. But if you see how intricate the tracks are for water, so that all the water from the plateau that flows down through that crevice, through that valley, it all drains perfectly into the Pombutpa spring, which is now you will only see the facade of the Pombutpa spring. But if you go to the back of it and you walk upwards, this is the kind of uh, you can say the kind of detail and precision that our ancestors knew at the time, and they knew how to use their resources well. And as with the technology that we have, there's so many questions that comes up as to how we are able to manage these resources and help us be sustainable. Here are some images also of the plateau that exist. So the plateau has a large dump yard of waste, mainly glass, construction, ceramic, uh, and a lot of other chemicals that are dumped. So here's a close-up image, while this is a much larger image, which is only about probably one third or so of the size, and it's only on one part of the plateau, whereas there are other patches all across. And because this is a dump yard, it's also a thriving ground for rodents and other smaller creatures to scavenge around. And while those smaller rodents and animals scavenge, we also have larger predators like snakes and jackals that come and interact with this um, garbage. And that also causes a lot of harm to the animals, the wildlife, the birds, and all the ecology that is on the plateau, which is also intricate. On my website, on the website, I have put a lot of pictures that of some friends of mine and contributors have shared for of their documentation of the different animals and birds, etc., that have been spotted on the plateau. I've avoided that in this presentation as I know some people are squeamish to amphibians and reptiles like snakes. Um, Here's another picture of Socorro. This is from Zoswado, which is one of the seven words of Socorro, where people have started building vertically upwards towards the plateau. It's uh, things like these that slowly uh, are threatening the plateau. And recently, on an excavation to the plateau as well, I noticed that people were demarcating properties, and if that slowly increases, we won't have this habitat which exists today. And Socorro Plateau is one of the best kept plateaus so far in the north of Goa and one of the largest, which is why the the habitat is so suitable for migratory birds that come all the way from halfway across the world, from Russia, from Europe, etc., just for those few months for rest on the plateau. And a little bit of disturbance in their ecology or in the environment shifts the whole uh, atmosphere and won't make it habitable for them. Here's another prime example of a plateau that once was thriving. This is the Saligaon Industrial Estate that has an expanse across the whole plateau, which also is which also has a negative effect towards the groundwater in Saligaon, in Saipe, in the village of Pilen as well, where groundwater and it's also not well treated industrial waste that gets mixed into the water systems and that flows down into the villages, causing loss of livestock, causing loss of people's lands, people's water sources, people's wells. A similar issue is faced as well in Porvorim, where there's a slight lag, I believe. Slight lag, sorry. In Porvorim, etc. In Porvorim, it's a similar situation with urbanization where people have built over the land and there's no place for water to seep into the ground to recharge the groundwater, and all of it is flowing downstream, down the slopes of the plateau into the villages where there is flooding. And as you can see, Giri, that's a village close to Porvorim, is since last year and the year before has been perpetually flooding due to the monsoons, as there's no place for the groundwater to go, as well as a lot of sewage water that gets mixed into the water systems that pollutes the wells around. Um, what about when we think about Sukur, we have to also think about the people that live around it. How do they survive? How do they live? Here are a few pictures of local Sukur people. This is from Zoswado. This is also from the other side of Zoswado towards Marina. And this is a farmer from uh, Karre. Thank you. I hope you do check out my article on the plateau as well as so many other articles that are so well written, so well constructed, with so much of media and so much of available information. And thank you to Goa Water Stories for doing such an amazing job to collect all this data so that we have an online repository to hold for the futures and to showcase all the adversities that are yet to come. And hopefully, we can take a stand towards climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you for such a touching story, especially because plateaus are still not categorized as natural resources to be preserved.
Correct.
They are, unfortunately, they just go in disguise of a piece of land and
As
then they are
wasteland, yeah.
exploited. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, all three of you. What we will do now immediately, and before I initiate that conversation, I request, will you please close your presentation? Yeah. I will
Yes.
request all our participants who are here. First of all, thank you to be here. We have really constrained people participating today because of some unfortunate hijacking last session. But I know you are friends to our speakers today. Do take this opportunity not only to ask them questions and also comment on their work, because that will be extremely motivating for them to continue this kind of wonderful story. So I'm going to start with some question as a warm up, but I think I will encourage all of you present here to do ask them questions or even share your concerns. So as you know, Shane, Rehan, and Rachel, we had discussed that I'm equally interested in how you build that story apart from the story itself, because I know what we are seeing as a story, as a documentation, it's just the tip of the iceberg, what work you have done. And that is something which we will not come to know, and it will just remain as a wonderful story unless and until we get to know how wonderfully and how painfully probably you did all the stories uh, by yourself. And as you all saw that these stories, which I'm using the word story because it is a Goa water story, but this is a living experience by our scholars and presenters today. You have lived it. And as rightly said also, and you are also concerned about future, you know. Today we actually traveled from wetland to wells, which is another concern that it's a heritage which is really dying a slow death in that sense. And wetlands again face the same problem of dying a slow death because a shallow water body is just a piece of land. Whereas wetlands are considered to be the most important source of drinking water or fresh water on earth. They are called the eyes of the earth. I'm sure Rachel had all these, experiences by herself. So what we are going to do now, have a small conversation with each of you and take the round in the same, sequence as our presenter. So like starting from Rachel, Rehan, and then Shane. So Rachel, as I said, I am more interested to understand our researchers and presenters today. You had a very, very moving story of wetlands and myself spending around 30 years working on lakes and wetlands. Why did you choose this subject? What is your personal connect? As we heard from Shane, and who were the subjects who were giving you information? Who were the people? How were you engaging? Were they equally enthusiastic about or concerned about? What was your experiencing documenting, and how much time did it take to make this wonderful documentation? Do watch it on the website because Rachel presented it through PPT. Do watch it. I mean, I will recommend all the stories are worth watching, and we are going to run all the stories in the series. Over to you, Rachel.
So I think the introduction to the lake happened because of my thesis that I was working on. So it was my final year. And I had something in mind to work where I was looking at sustainability as the main focus. And there were a lot of options that came to my mind, but then I was introduced to this lake called the Nanda Lake. But when I was introduced, I wasn't sure of how much importance that the lake would hold. Eventually, when I came across people who spoke to me, told me the importance, right from the villagers of the site to the architects, the ecologists, and one important person was architect Hyacinth Pinto. She had a proposal of proposing a wetland research center right at the site. So this was something that what came to my notice, and I thought this would be something to move ahead with. So initially, when I started documenting, it was just talking to the villagers, knowing the experience of what they felt of being this site taken as a Ramsar site. They had a lot of contrasting things to say, like the government is taking over the land, we were not informed, there was a lot of development that is being taking place which is affecting our livelihood because they were intently dependent on the land for agriculture, fishing. So there were a lot of hustles in the way, but then eventually as things were progressing, I came to know and of what the initiative was of what they wanted to propose so that there is the understanding of the lake for the society, because even when the people say that their livelihood depended on them, there were a lot of things that were happening onto the site with respect to overfishing, the wastewater being disposed into the lake, which was causing an ecological imbalance. So that is how the story was framed, and it took me around 7 to 8 months to document it, to understand the summer, the winter period of how the lake was dependent for the people. And with respect to the ecology, there is a lot of wildlife that mitigates onto the site. We have migratory birds coming on during the different seasons over the time. Yeah, overall, it was quite a stressful but a lovely outcome at the end. And yeah, please do give it a read.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm sure it must have been a moving, experience for you, life changing. As I also have spent my life with lakes and wetlands, and every time I feel if they could speak, what they will speak.
Right.
And I think that's my last question to all three of you. Let's hold that question. I wish to go to Rehan and also recommend you, Rehan, that please do get in touch with Vishwanath Shrikantaya. I'm sure you know him. If not, he is one of the most renowned well person in this country. And he has rejuvenated many wells and he has a mission to rejuvenate wells, and he will be very happy to talk to you. Do you know him?
Interesting you say that because one of the videos is sourced through Biome and shot
Yes.
via someone in Biome. So I told him, can I get access to this one? And he agreed. So
You
he
will
has been,
connect with him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So because at W4W, one of our work is also to connect the like-minded people and like work people. So I'm very happy to share that please do connect with him because we need more and more people to work. And honestly speaking, all three of you give me some hope for future that there are people who are not only running for development but also thinking about these things which matters in life. Coming to you on the question of wealth, as you rightly pointed out, the issue of it being a heritage, but but actually legally it is still not having that status. But you also made an important remark which applies to the entire Goa water stories, which are because I was looking at the number of stories which it has, and the important issue that you raised is Goa is more than beaches and tourism. It's
Yeah.
about local people. There are people who live. It's not only to come and enjoy and go. There are people who have lived experiences, and well has been an integral part of people's life. Not only in Goa, across the country. I mean, it was the main source of water until recent, until the water supply. When you were documenting this, I still remember the photograph you showed with that woman in the front and at the backdrop the apartment and all types of well, wonderful. When you were documenting what were the impressions the local people were giving you about the slow death of the wells?
Well, I would say I had kept a distance while I was shooting because I shot most of the things on the sly. I didn't want to interfere or tell them what is going to happen. If it was needed, for example, the woman that you mentioned, I told her that I'm doing it for this particular purpose, and she was happy to go about it. And I can share her experience
Yes, please.
because she said that, see, all these things were not around me and now they are and I have to live by it. I have maybe for 15 10 more years 15 10 more years to live, but afterwards I don't see many of the wells being as healthy because there's no one to take care of them, because as I said, they are also living entity. They need an annual maintenance and cleanup and someone to
Absolutely.
take care of them. Only then it will give back to you also. The other thing, as Shane had mentioned, was that if you don't take care of the plateaus, then the water won't trickle down to your wells.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you
They are
focus on the
interrelated.
plateaus, yeah. So a lot of locals are
And
aware
to the
about it. And
wetlands. And to
yes,
the wetlands. It's like
so a lot,
no water in the plateau, then no water in the wetland, and then no water in the well. It's like, they are interconnected.
all intimately connected. The
Hmm.
ecology of the whole thing, and it's a small state. So the even a small thing happening in a particular corner will affect the other corner which is slightly on the downslope. It is bound to happen, and the locals are very much in know of this. That is why the panchayat uh, is seeing a lot of protest from the locals when suddenly um, a construction project is given clearance to build on a plateau, for example. So yes, they are aware of it, and not probably to the extent that they have not connected all the dots in a manner that, say, a scholar would and come up with data, but it is pretty apparent to them because it's a lived in environment for them, and they can see, hey, why is the water 2 rings down this year? So they immediately know, oh, there is something wrong, and it's not just the waterfall. It's
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more than that actually. And also the fact that they were the main source of water until recent time. But if there's no groundwater, even
yeah.
wells will become defunct. And how then the revival of wells depends on the revival of or rejuvenation or recharging of the groundwater. Shane, I want to come to you as the plateaus sit on the top of the well and the wetland, you know. So I just want to understand from you when you were showing that picture of how people are slowly taking over the plateau. Because see, all
Yeah.
three of you, what you were saying, especially in case of wetland and plateau, when we are looking at water bodies, they are piece of land coast. That's our perception. I'm just talking about our perception. And then there is some water. In case of plateau, the water is invisible because it just flows away. In case of wetland, there is sometimes water, there is sometimes no water, high flood level, blah, blah, blah. When those people are given plots, they are currently happening, and you showed the big campus. Do you think the current development and the people who are taking those plots and making, I am not saying we are different from them. We are all party to this whole program development. Do you think people even have a ounce of cognizance about what we are doing to nature? What is your sense when you are interacting and documenting? You may not have
So
asked this question, but what is your sense
yeah.
about it? Hmm.
So as per what I've seen, I have not interacted personally with a lot of the constructions that have been happening, but I did go
And
around.
it's, and it's a difficult question. We cannot ask
Yeah, it
people
is a very different
directly.
question because the moment you ask that, you're considered as like, like why is this question on? Or like then you're put in a space where uh it's a little difficult to get out of later on. But I did go about um and asking some questions for my project is I went to a new area because I love doing this thing where I just if I have a bike, if I'm walking, I'll just go and I'll find a path that I've never taken before. And
Hmm.
so I went up one of the hills in Sukoro and I saw this road that goes upwards because the first thing I noticed was an electricity line going up. And there are no electricity lines on the plateau unless one that connects. There's a main one that connects two or three of the villages together. And so I
Hmm.
followed that path and then I reached a space that had quite a number of houses, at least about 10 to 15 houses. And I was like, and the road was kacha, it was very new. And so I asked one of the men, like, how long have you all been staying here? And he said, for the past 5 years. And slowly, I got to understand how slowly, without people even knowing, that the land that they're on can be prone to, you know, a lot of landslides, a lot of other things because they are built on the slopes. It's not very strong, uh, not very strong architecture, unless probably they have put that much of thought into it. But the man didn't seem to have a sense as strong enough as you mentioned. So it's small negligences like this that lead to problems in the future.
Hmm.
Okay, wonderful. I have a very simple yet tricky question for you. All three of you, maybe one line is good enough for me in that sense. Did it really change you after you did the story? Because I'm sure you may not have documented a being, I'm calling them being as a living being, like this before as you did it in Goa Water Stories. And even if you have done before something like this, what did it change in you when you studied these beings? Pressure.
I think for me, in my case, it opened a door for me where I went to pursue my master's in sustainability. Since I'm a field of architecture, I wanted to make sure we are not just building to destroy, but building in such a way where we can work in balance with the environment.
Wonderful. Rehan, you have been
Uh,
doing this work, so yes.
right. Yeah, it does affect you, and the only hope that uh, I can carry with this that it reaches more people and changes them in a better way. Instead of giving them a lecture as to this is what you're doing wrong, if you show them that this is what is happening and this is where it can be, it's still not too late to mend your ways. That self-understanding is something that I hope comes to others who will go through all of these articles, hopefully. But personally, I would say yes, it has affected. It's just that you know that okay, you are here for a limited amount of time, and let's not ruin that has been here for millennia in just that little bit of time. And the regions that Shane has gone to, we go to Herp over there. We know every year how it is changing and changing for the worse. But it's just a little bit of thing. It's just citizen initiative. If enough people know about it, then it becomes harder for people to bulldoze through all these changes. So yes, it did
Wonderful.
affect you, but it with also the hope that it also touches people who understand the criticality of it, which happens to be Shane's
And
headline.
yes, and I think for me as an educator for so long, I feel it is extremely important that young people take charge of this understanding, because I feel apologetic many times that it's my generation who were really in the race of development. And with climate change, there has to be a realization at some point in time.
We
And
just change the definition of development to not just flyovers, and it should be fine. But just it has been drilled
yes.
too much into us that okay, flyover is development.
Just to add here, Rachel, I just want to inform you that from my bachelor's till my PhD, I have worked on wetlands and lakes. And the only thing I could come back to myself after my PhD, that if I don't put a bag of cement and brick now on the planet Earth, I think I am doing a bigger contribution. That is where I really backed out from the profession. That was a big change for me in life. So I'm just sharing with you to keep you informed that these things are very sensitive. It's not only that we are working on it, it also changes our lives. I mean, and our work here through Goa Water Stories, probably your work, and our work here in W4W is that how can we convey these sensitive issues and the voiceless beings, and how can we convey in an effective way that we are not shaming or aiming to shame anybody, and we have to reach their people's heart. People are working with head, not with heart most of the time. So these kind of approaches are more to touch people's lives. So Shane, what is your answer about how did it change you? You were already a changed person probably when you were cycling and walking and biking to the plateau.
Eh, Definitely felt a huge change through working about the plateau, because initially I thought I knew a lot about, not, in my head, I knew about the plateau and this and that, but I really didn't know a lot. And I still don't know a lot because there's so much more that is there to explore, and there's so much of intricate systems that exist within the plateau. And the learnings that have come out of it are definitely, as Ryan said, hope. Hope not just for me for a better future, but hope for others as well. And that's the message that I would like to share with everyone, that there is still hope. And I just hope to inspire people with all the work that is there, and the and all that has to be done for the future. So I'm looking forward to that and trying to be a part of this initiative from a ground level as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the way it is documented, the entire Goa water stories, I'm still slowly consuming all of it bit by bit, depending on the sessions we are going to have. Next Goa water stories is on June 13th, same time at 5 p.m. IST. Today we could not start on time, but next time it will be 5 p.m. IST. Some problems. We are going to have three more stories next time, but I'm coming to the last question to all of you here. You documented this being's life in certain way, and we also talked about that it is extremely important that people understand. Many a times people don't know, and or we are also ignorant, and we pretend that these beings do not exist. And only thing we are concerned about is humanly constructed things, because we have put in our money and time and effort and emotions. And these beings which are there over millennia, and we are here in a very short time, as rightly mentioned, what is your hope with your peer group. Your friends are here. I hope some of your friends ask you question or comment you. Please do that. It's extremely important for them to encourage them for continuing. What is your hope with your peer group? And if I may ask the tricky question, Amma, in percentage, how many of your friends do you think would like to take this up? Not only as a passionate work, it also gives profession to many people. I have spent 30 years working on lakes, and it is possible to have a profession out of this. What kind of acquaintances you are surrounded with, so that at least you can think about that few people will change the outlook, what you have managed to change it for yourself. What's your take on this? Because that is the hope I am hoping. When I talk to people like you, I really feel much more confident for future. I also now don't have many years now from here, uh, almost closer to the exit. But when I look at all of you, I feel that this effort and journey for 30 years was worth it, that there are future generations who are working on it. What do you think when you talk to your friends about this kind of work? What's your hope, and what will keep you going on working on this kind of projects? Rashid, you can be brutally honest also on this, or diplomatic. I leave it to you.
I think in my university, where I have been working, studying for a couple of months now, we are trying to build up a society where it's not just where the concrete is taking a role, but where ecology is also working hand in hand. So we look at a future where development doesn't bulldoze the heritage and ecology in the name of process. So this is the idea that we are trying to follow and build up on.
I hope you also continue with your master's thesis on this kind of project and continue working on it. Thank you so much, Rashid. Rehan?
Like, see, I would say, see, there is always hope. There is always hope, and uh, a lot of people might have given up on this particular generation. Oh, there is these people don't know nothing, and they are just the internet generation. But many people among us have worked on this and brought data and um, article and information that was and it put it in public domain, so it can be thought of in a positive manner as well, that okay, the the work has been done, now it has to be broadcasted and sent to as many people so that it changes opinion in a positive manner. So unless you
Absolutely.
are hopeful, that you can't. You can always give up and say,
Hopes.
okay, let it be. But let it be that this is some of the tools and weapons that you have in your hands to go about and make a difference in opinion of people. Again, not by lecturing them and haranguing them or pontificating, but just by saying that this is your heritage, and if you don't care for it enough, there might not be. It might just be left in pictures.
Yes.
So I would say
Probably
there's
after,
but
maybe, of course. We have to have hope because for me, there are two pillars of life, hope and trust, and
like they
also
say,
trust with each other.
like they said, the best time to plant the tree was yesterday. So hurry up.
Yes. Yes. And also, I love to quote here Rabindranath Tagore, when you plant a tree thinking that you are not going to bear the fruit of that tree, then you have done the genuine work. And I think all of you, all Goa Water Stories contributors, you don't know where this work is going to take you or the Goa's beings, which we are talking about today. But at least there was a genuine effort. Shane, how do you see your acquaintances around? Can you mobilize them or move their heart?
So some of my friends are already doing work in the similar space, and it also helps me and motivates me to do more in the similar
Absolutely.
space. And I often find myself where at a juncture where I'm like this is definitely a space where I want to be, and the space where I want to keep growing in and building on. So definitely going to try and do more contribution with regards to documenting cultures and heritages. As Rian mentioned, in future, we only see it in photographs. So that's something I'd like to do on a ground level, as well as work with friends and collaborate on more such projects for the betterment of Goa. So definitely love to
Absolutely.
help towards that.
Betterment of Goa, betterment of ecology, and in fact, betterment of humanity, because we will only exist
Indeed.
when they exist. That's the most
Definitely.
important part. So, if there are any questions, this is the last moment for you to ask our speakers, young, motivated speakers, any question or any comment. I would love to take them. Otherwise, we can call it off for the day. We started late, so we are on time that way to close the session. But I'm happy to take any comment or question. You may raise your digital hand or type your question in the chat box. And meanwhile, you do that, I would like to share with all of you today is our 351 session, making us one of the longest water conversation in the world. And this is our little way to not only communicate about water, bringing all these gems together as an invisible thread, bringing all the gems together to an open access forum. All our sessions are available open access at www.w4w.in. You can check. We have had some of the most eminent water speakers and thinkers to, as you see today, we have 3 young future generation water leaders to share their stories, not only as story, but also their concerns, which is extremely important. Now, if I don't see anyone raising their hand or having a chat box comment, I would like to conclude with just few lines saying that data is extremely important, but we have also seen that data science and technology may not be enough to solve the worldly problems and human-induced problems, because we are the only problematic creature on this planet. We need different ways to convey the same data so that we can move people, move by their emotions, move by their intellect. Uh, we are one of the most intelligent species, there's no doubt about it. Or probably we are one of the most stupid species that we are not taking care of our planet. In both cases, we have to convey a good data in a most beautiful, articulate way so that people also understand it differently. People experience it that it is a lived experience of all of you scholars here. And that's the beauty of Goa Water Stories. These are lived experience of all the scholars who have presented their work today and who are going to present their work in the forthcoming series. Do not miss joining on June 13th for the next Goa Water series. This is Friday, 5 p.m. We will continue on Wednesdays for Water, which is our signature series. Next 2 Wednesdays for Water, which is next 2 weeks of Wednesdays, we are on ground. So we are not going to have online sessions. So we also do on ground activities. So do stay tuned with our activities. We are happy not only to connect water scholars and water practitioners, we are also happy to collaborate on any kind of on-site and online activities related to water conversations. At W4W, we strongly believe water conversation is extremely crucial for water conservation. The Goa Water Stories is just one of the examples of engaging in a water conversation in different way. Thank you so much, Rachel, Rehan, and Shane for the wonderful session and also speaking your heart and becoming the voice of those beings who could not come to this online session and tell their stories. Thanks a lot. Please take care of yourself and do keep up the good work you are doing. Bye bye. And thanks a lot to all the participants. We may have touched thousands of participants over these 350 sessions. We are grateful to them for their support and encouragement. I know we are going until September first week. I don't know about after that, but we will try to find more speakers. If you know any speaker, enthusiast person who has something to tell about water, do write to us and reach out to us. Thanks a lot. Please take care of yourself.